Have you ever felt alone in your struggles and fears? Are you looking for inspiration from others who have triumphed through similar challenges? Sandy Grigsby's here to help you find answers. She's an entrepreneur, author, and founder of Brio 5, a leading photography studio focused on personal branding. It's time to get in focus with your host, Sandy Grigsby.
Thank you so much for being here. Today, my very special guest is Manny Lopez. He is an expert who helps with unique lead generation and automation marketing strategies. He helps people with things such as Facebook. Now, we all know how difficult Facebook can be, and he has managed to master it organically. He is a husband and father of 3 gorgeous children. I know his oldest son, who is absolutely the most adorable doll. And he is known for creating a lifestyle of being hashtag too blessed to be stressed. He creates opportunities for his network and has over 30,000 business professionals working with him worldwide. Now, the exciting thing about Manny is he is so open and so loving, and he is here to share his story with us. I'm going to give you just a taste, and I'm going to hand it over to Manny. But Manny was orphaned at 18 months old. He was thrown into foster care, and he was adopted and returned 7 different times. Manny, thank you for being here. Tell us your story.
Thanks for having me, Sandy. Well, my story, yes, it starts at 18 months. It was 1989. My mom and dad, from what I know, were married. They had 2 kids, me and my sister. She's 11 months older than me. Something happened. I, to this day, don't know the full story, but it ended up with me and my sister being left in a car. People had heard our cries and called the police. So the only thing I have documented is a police report that says, it looked like we've been living in that car, and the diapers had looked like they've been soaked for days. We were put into foster care. My mother lost her parental rights, and we ended up getting bounced around to a lot of different homes like a typical foster kid goes through. The concept is very traumatizing to most kids that go through this situation. I've gone through it multiple times, and I've seen it from as low as 18 months to as old as 13 years old, where I ended up getting put in foster homes again. But that's for another story. The big thing for me is raising awareness for what is going on in the foster care system, because when I was in that system, I suffered everything from malnutrition, abuse, neglect, and even torture. See, I have a scar on my chest from being held down at about 2 years old from a foster parent. And because I was throwing a tantrum, he lit a cigarette and put it on my chest.
Oh, my God.
These things are still happening in today's world. And this is why these kids are going through this system. And by the time they age out, which means they're 18 and they're on their own, 2 out of 3 of these kids are dead, homeless, or in jail. And this is a problem that I tend to fix, and will be doing a lot in this industry to do just that.
Oh my gosh. This actually reminds me of an organization. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's called A Sense of Home, and their website is asenseofhome.org. And they actually focus on this, where they help provide housing and furniture so that the kids who are aging out can start a life and feel like they have something.
Exactly. I mean, this is an epidemic that most people don't even realize. I mean, you've got kids going through this system that have a 20% graduation rate just to get out of high school, right? You've got girls that are 4 times more likely to be abused. You've got 70% of our prison population coming from the foster care system. If we fix that system, we fix our problems in our nation. And that's just something I think if we can get more eyeballs on. You got organizations like A Sense of Hope. You got organizations like what I'm putting together, from Orphan to CEO. You've got, all these types of these places and companies and brands that could be collaborating together. And this is exactly the concept I'm putting together, is bringing together the business community with the nonprofit community, with the organizations that are trying to make a difference, just bringing them all in to collaborate. If we can do that, we can solve a lot of problems in this world.
So let me ask you, how did you come out of it? How did you not end up in that 20% and that 70%?
Well, see, I kind of did end up falling in that category. I became homeless when I jumped into my my journey of life that I wanted to embark on. Within 1 year, I became homeless twice. But I ended up finding what saved me. And it was three things: God, mentorship, and entrepreneurship. So when you can focus on what I like to call this Trinity of Divinity, but the idea for me is to focus on something that you can find your faith in, whether that's, what I, have in my life is God, but, people can find other ways to find their faith in what their connection to that universe is. But mentorship and entrepreneurship in the physical realm is where things really turned around for me. I found people that were getting results in what I wanted to do. I found people that were on a path similar to mine. I found a mentor, somebody who could teach me what I needed to learn, because there's so many things that I don't even know that I don't know. And if people can understand that concept and find the people that have gotten the results, not the people that are talking the results, but the people that have proven the results and what it is that you're trying to learn about.
Manny, tell us about the journey that happened, how you came into mentorship. Who was the first person that mentored you?
Sure. So back in 2007, my son had literally just been born a few months prior. And my first son, Isaac, the one you met, at that time, I had kind of come to realization, I got to stop doing these little, oddball sales jobs just to get by and make money, because that's kind of what I was doing at that time. And so I thought, I need to find a place where I can plant some roots, a growing company that, I can kind of build with. And so I found this company that I thought, man, this is it. This is a big growing company. It's on one of those fastest growing companies list. And I'm in the interview process, and the guy asked me, and he's sitting across from me, and he's like, so where do you want to be in a couple of years from now? And I'm like, well, I want a manager position. I want, your job. I want to have a team that I could train and duplicate what I can do. I mean, I'm a top salesperson every place I go. So I want to start building something under me, because I've never had an opportunity to be a manager. Not what I thought was my biggest dream is, let me manage something. Somebody give me the opportunity to manage something, right? And this guy overheard it. He was thinking of it. He was just kind of listening in, right? And I leave the interview room, and the guy goes, hey, I was hearing your stuff, and I hear you want to be a manager. Well, I'm a manager. I'm where you want to be, and I can teach you what I know. And so each morning we would meet, and this is before I even knew what the word mentor was. He was just being that guidance there. And at the same time of him being a manager at this company, he was also a pastor at a church nearby. And so we would pray each morning, and we would. I would love the fact that before we even start the day, because I would be the first one in there, the last one out, he would be there with me, and before we'd start the day, we'd always pray for the people we were about to help. And that was really awesome. And it's something that really stuck with me. From there, it was about a 2-year process with that company before I realized there was never going to be an opportunity that I was looking for. But through mentorship, he had guided me into instilling the concept of being too blessed to be stressed. Is where I get that from. Every day I would come in, his name is Gail, and I would ask him, hey, Gail, how are you doing? And he's like, man, too blessed to be stressed. It wasn't really just a saying. It was really a way of life. It's to look at things to say, you know what, look at all the blessings I have around me. No matter all the chaos I could be going through, it could be a negative bank account, my car being repossessed, me getting evicted, being homeless, all these different things. I could look at my life and say, you know what, my kid's healthy. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got sometimes a roof over my head, right? And, I would look at things and just really be able to see that, everything is happening for a reason. It's something that, if you look at in the background of a long term, like I always look 5 years back, and I'm looking at chaos I was going through it 5 years ago. And I'm like, man, that's nothing compared to what I know now, what I've been able to accomplish because of that chaos. And now I always look at that as being too blessed to be stressed. And one of the big things I took away from what he had taught me was at that point of 2 years in, he goes, Manny, the opportunity is not here for you to be a manager, but you shouldn't be here. You need to be building your own dream. You need to stop building someone else's dream. And that really hit home to me. I'm like, building somebody else's dream. I'm building somebody else. Why am I not building my own dream? Right. And then that's when I jumped into entrepreneurship, and, I never looked back. I've been self-funded each step of the way. I've had a lot of ups and downs. It's been chaotic being an entrepreneur, but it's worth it because I'm building my own dream. I'm living the goal that I wanted to live. When I started my company day one, I made a promise to my wife. I told her, because we had just finished being homeless twice within 1 year with a kid that was still in diapers. We had 2 boys at that time. And I made her a promise. I said, okay, every business has like a 5-year plan. And 5 years in, about 6 years in, I would be at the year 30. I was 24 years old when I started my company. And I'd made her a promise because we were living in the back of somebody's house that they converted into a 1-bedroom, house in a sense. There was no office. It was literally the dining room was also the office, which is also the kitchen, which is also the living room, right? And then we had a 1-bedroom for our family of 4. I started my company there, and I told her, babe, I promise by the time I'm 30, we're going to be, we're going to have our daughter. That was her big thing. We wanted a daughter. We're going to have our daughter. We're going to be living in Lake Elsinore. We're going to have a 2-story home. I'm going to have a successful business, and we're never going to be homeless again. I promise this. And at 30 years old, January of that year, I had a crazy experience I'll tell you about. But by the end of that year, 30 years old, right now I'm living in Lake Elsinore. I'm in a 2-story home. My daughter's going to be 4 this year. And we have a pretty successful business. I'm a paid consultant to over 1,000 brands worldwide. I've been named one of the best by Facebook. I've shared the stage with people like Les Brown, who is somebody who I just idolized back in 2008 when my mentor told me, you should listen to this guy by the name of Les Brown. Have you heard of him? And I was like, who's that guy, right? He's like, he's an orphan just like you, man. He's made over $50 million in his career. He's had over 80,000 people come to his stadium just to hear him speak. And I was like, whoa, this guy's amazing. I would love to listen to this guy, right? I'm listening to him on YouTube, hearing his speeches and, shoot for the moon. You'll be, if you miss, at least you'll be amongst the stars, right? And that really stuck with me. And then 2012, 4 years after I get introduced to this guy digitally, I get the opportunity to meet him face to face at this event called CEO Space. Have you heard of it before? Mm-hmm. So it's this really awesome organization. And at that time, when I first got introduced to this organization, I had like $500 in my bank account, right? Really broke. And it was my first year in business. It was, it's during those winter months, and I'm in a marketing agency. So businesses supposedly aren't spending money in marketing. And I was kind of in that mindset. So business was slow. But I get a call from my merchant account randomly. And this was right after, about a week after I get this phone call from this guy by the name of Bernie Dorman, right? It's the CEO and founder of CEO Space. And my name got tossed around because I went to this event and I had this really high energy about me. And one of the recruiters for CEO Space was there. And he gets me on the phone with this guy, Bernie. And Bernie goes, man, you got to come out to our event. It's really awesome. You'd fit in perfectly with our crew and in our organization, and just a bunch of amazing people. And I'm like, yeah, sounds amazing. What is it? It was like, well, you got to come out to Vegas for a whole week, and it's only $7,500. And I was like, thanks, but no thanks, right?
Manny, can you, for those who don't know what CEO Space is, can you just give a quick overview?
So it's a collection of just the super experts of the world. You've got the best of the best teachers like Bob Proctor there, and it's just a bunch of investors and philanthropists and entrepreneurs, and it's an expense. I mean, you have to pay $7,500 to be there, and it's a membership, so it's really a high quality group. And so I get invited to this thing, and I'm like, sure, thanks, but no thanks. I've never invested $7,500 in my life, not even to launch my business. I had $5,000 to launch my business, which got me an office, a whole sales team, like everything to get going, right? And so pay $7,500 to go to Vegas for an event. And I was like, yeah, no thanks. But he goes, all right, well, think it over. But I just want to let you know, we have our keynote speaker coming this year. You're going to love him. Have you heard of this guy? His name is Les Brown. And I was like, Les Brown, wait, you got to be hungry, Les Brown? Like, yeah, that guy.
No
He's like, yeah,
way.
you'll get to meet him and you can sit front row and he can spit on you when he's talking. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. I want to get spit on by Les Brown. It was a really weird concept, but I was like, yeah, oh my God, that was like a guy I wish I could meet. This is who inspired me through my first ever mentor. I mean, he is an orphan just like me. I got to meet this guy. So I was like, I got to figure out a way. I got to come up with $7,500 to come meet this guy. And my wife had no clue who this Les Brown. I never told her about him. And so I get this call a week later from my merchant account. Says, Manny, I heard you're some like Facebook expert guy, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, we've got this Japanese company. They want to bring their concept to America, and they've got about $10,000 to spend. So can you work with them? They just want to create a video, put it on YouTube, and make a Facebook page and do this stuff. And I looked over everything they needed. And I'm like, this is going to cost me like less than $2,000, like all in. And I'm like, okay, so I have a $10,000 deal with $8,000 in profit. And this is weird. So I bring it to my wife. I'm like, babe, so I know we have like Christmas coming up and rent coming up. We have like $500 on our bank account, but we just made a deal. We've got like $8,000 in profit, and I want to spend like all of it to this event to where I can go to and meet this guy named Les Brown. But I've got to be away from you for a whole week in Vegas. She's like, what? You got to spend all of our money and go to Vegas for a week without me? And what? Somehow I'm a really good salesperson because I closed that deal. I was able to get my wife to say yes to that. I go to CEO space. I meet Les Brown. And I'm the type that's like, dude, if I got a chance, I'm going to figure out a way to like shake his hand, get a selfie, do something, right? So I see that he shows up with this entourage. I've been looking for him the whole time when I get there. It's a whole week, right? I had no idea what day he's going to come or anything. I'm just, where's Les? Where's Les? Where's Les? And I finally see him comes with this entourage, and this little Asian lady kind of breaks away from the pack. And I'm like a lion. I'm like, I gotta go. This is my chance. So I go talk to this lady, and I'm like, hey, you're with Les Brown, right? Like, and she's like, yeah, I'm his publicist. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally here because of this guy. Like, I spent every dollar I could just to show up because I'm an orphan, he's an orphan, and there's got to be some way we can connect, right? And she's like, oh, tell me your story. And I tell her a little bit about it. She goes, let me get your phone number. I was like, okay. And then she's like, I'm gonna text you a room number. And I was like, ma'am, I am married. That is not happening. I know Vegas and everything, that kind of thing, but nope, not today.
Of course, right?
Like, no, nothing like that. She's like, that's Les Brown's hotel room. He's doing a special invite. He's going to share it on stage, but there's only like a select few that can come, and I'm just going to gift you this. So come and just hang out with us in Les Brown. Is that cool? And I'm like, all day, I'll be there. And I've got a selfie, and I would never show you this selfie because I was like almost 200 pounds back then.
Wow,
but I've got my
really?
selfie with Les Brown. Oh yeah, it's bad. And I have no facial hair. I look like a naked turtle. It's just bad. It's very bad. But I got a chance to meet with him. And from there, I hit it off with his son, John Leslie Brown. We got really close, and we were like 5 days apart how old we are. And I mean, we didn't even sleep that night. We were just hanging out, swapping stories. But I literally I integrated a concept that I teach called serving your way to success. And I was like, I don't know what I have to do, what I need to do, but I'm just going to keep serving that family as much as I can till I get the opportunity to maybe just meet him again and shake his hand and get another selfie, right? 2 years later, okay, I met him in 2012. 2 years later, by then I had gotten named one of the best by Facebook. I'm worked with over 500 brands worldwide now. I'm getting a little bit of name for myself, but I'm just serving the Brown family. I built an app for John Leslie Brown. I built an app for Ona Brown, his daughter. And then randomly I get this call on a Monday afternoon. It says, Manny, and it's John Leslie Brown. He's like, Manny, I just landed in LA. What are you up to, man? What are you doing? And I'm looking at my schedule. I'm like, man, I've got like 6 appointments back to back starting at like 11 and da-da-da-da. And he's like, well, here's the thing, man. I just landed in LA. I'm with Ona. I'm with my dad, Les Brown.
No.
And he wants to meet you. He wants to meet you. And I'm like, wait, what? He wants to meet me? He's like, yeah, man, we're in LA at this hotel. Can you come down and meet us? I'm like, I got nothing to do right now. I will be over there. I'm going to cancel all my plans. So I literally just have my assistant reach out to everyone. I'm like, look, I can't make our appointment. We've got to reschedule today. And I make it down to Les Brown's. He's hanging out and we break bread together, and he's with like 6 people. And he goes, I hear you're this Facebook guru guy. And I was like, I'm doing pretty okay on Facebook. I was just named one of the best by Facebook when they hit 1 million advertisers. And, I could probably help you out. And he's like, well, here's the thing. I'm at 500,000 followers right now on Facebook, but Tony Robbins just hit 1 million. And I'm just as good as this guy. I need you to get me to 1 million fans. And I was like, okay, we can do that. I was looking over your profile and stuff, and I see where we can make some adjustments. And he's like, I'm like, what's the purpose of this? What's the overall goal? We get to 1 million fans, then what? Right? And he's like, well, the whole purpose of this is to get speaking opportunities. So you see, I just finished a battle with cancer. I'm 70 years old. Nobody is hiring me right now. They all think I'm on my deathbed. So I'm not getting the phone calls. My team's not getting the calls we are normally getting. I'm getting paid $30,000 to $60,000 a speech, but my phone's not ringing. So I need to fix this problem I've got. And I think you're the guy that could really help me out. And so I looked at him. I'm like, I've got an idea for you. One is we're going to do video selfies. This is how you're going to grow your audience on Facebook. And he's like, what? Video selfie? What is that? I'm like, you just grab your phone and you put the camera on and you switch the camera to seeing you and you record it. And all those long posts that go back to like 2014, you'll see his long posts that he had on his page where he would write like a chapter. And I was like, dude, that's too long. Nobody's reading that. They're going to read the first couple of sentences, but they can't see you. They can't hear you. They can't hear that little chuckle that you do. Like, come on, they need to feel that. And he's like, well, how do you do that? I'm like, video selfies. Like, just do it and then you can talk. That paragraph you could say in 2 minutes. And he's like, well, let's do it right now. And I was like, okay, yeah. And so he grabs his phone, and you can Google this on YouTube, just Manny Lopez, Les Brown. You'll see the first ever video selfie that Les Brown does. And it's amazing. It's really cool because he goes in. It's a funny thing because my mentor, Gail, right, back in 2008, when he told me you should be following Les Brown, he used to call me Manny the Man Lopez. And I literally have a plaque where it literally says Manny the Man Lopez. And I got 10 months in a row #1 at the company. It broke all these company records. And the funny thing is, Les Brown goes to everybody that's on his table. And this is back when John Leslie Brown, his son, had dreadlocks. This was back in the day. And he goes to me and he goes, and this is Manny the Man Lopez. He calls me this. I'm like, how did you know? What the heck? People have been calling me this all the time. So literally that day I run home and I go to GoDaddy and type in Manny the Man Lopez available. Boom, get it. So I own that domain now.
That is fantastic. So it's funny. We have our first video selfie as well. It's on my YouTube channel.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Bam.
And what's so exciting about that, that's when I dropped the question on you to be on my podcast.
Yes, you did. You're just like, hey, I've got you on camera. By the way, can you be on my podcast? Yeah, sure.
It totally worked.
It worked. Look, it's working. We're on the podcast, 7 takes in, but we got this. It's going to work today.
Yeah, I should do that with everyone. So let's see.
Sure.
I'm going to go to Brendan Bouchard. Do a video. Well, he
with Tony.
He already said he would be on my podcast. I don't need to do it. I need to do it with Tony. That's right. And I have to tell you, you were talking about how Les Brown would spit on you.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins did spit on me. I didn't wash my hand for at least 3 hours.
I think he caught on to this. I think people were doing that. They were doing that video selfie and asking him to, because I went to a Tony Robbins event recently and we had like the whole VIP thing and everything. And they wouldn't let me even bring a phone in. They made us stick our phones outside and they wouldn't even they had to bring us through this. It was really crazy. And I'm like, okay, they don't even, I wanted to get a selfie with the guy, ask him a question, put it on my, nope. They're like, no, we know what you're doing.
Yeah, they're pretty up to date on that. They're like, no.
Yeah, we've been around this rodeo before, not happening.
That's so funny. All right, I'm going to ask you, when you were going through all of this, did you have any fears, or did you doubt yourself, or have any worries when you were going through this whole journey, this entrepreneurial journey?
So I really didn't realize this fear until I overcame it. So growing my business, my first month in business, and I've never said this on a podcast before or an interview, so this is breaking news.
Remember everyone, breaking news on my podcast. So you have to keep listening because every one of my guests gives this something secret breaking news. Here we go. Manny,
Oh,
please. What is your breaking news?
We gotta segment this. This has got to be some like breaking news, something. All right, but here's what happened. So my first month in business, I had an idea of how I wanted to do it. I outlined it, had the game plan, and we executed massively. I was expecting 30 to 40 new accounts that month. We ended the month with 100 new accounts.
Wow.
And we massively grew, too big, too fast. My design team that I had in place that could handle 30 to 40 accounts could not handle 100 accounts. And we ended up losing a massive amount of brand power because of that. I lost a giant client list. We had to fire our design team. We just had to go back to day one within 3 months. It was like, we scrapped that entire idea. And from that point on, I built slow. And every year since then, I maxed out every single year, didn't even look at the numbers until realizing it was no more than 100 clients I would ever bring on each year from having 100 clients our first month. And I noticed it was a big fear of mine to not grow big because I started looking at all the opportunities I would skip. Like an example, Shark Tank wanted me on their show. I had gone all the way through the process of them saying, come down to the studio and get in front of a camera and pitch your idea. And I said, but what if I get on TV? What if I don't get a deal? And what if all of these eyeballs come to me and want to do business? And I end up getting in the same boat I had on month one, where I max out, too many people come to me for business, and I lose everything I've worked for because I get too big too fast. I've said no to investments that have valuated my company at over $1 million. I want to partner with you. I want to grow your brand. I want to get you to those levels that you want to be at. And I want to be at these super high levels, but I literally have limited myself for so long until January 27th, 2017. I had this experience that just shifted everything for me. So what had happened was I was at a fork in the road in my business. It was a point of either staying limited, staying small, or finally taking the leap to do something bigger. And not really knowing what it was, to me, I thought it was just me toying with the idea, tossing up the air, but it was fear. It was a fear of making that leap to decide to put my family at risk of what I promised my wife we would never be at risk of again, and that's being homeless. To take big risk in entrepreneurship means to put it on the line. You have to put it all on the line if you're going to succeed. I mean, look at what Elon Musk did. I mean, he generated I think it was over $100 million when he sold PayPal. And he put, or it was a huge number, but he put all of it into his ideas, or so much of it where he had to borrow money to pay rent. After selling literally minimum of, I don't know the exact numbers, it's over $100 million at least. And he had put every dollar he possibly could into his ideas and his dreams. And I was at that point in my life where I had to make a decision to either stay small, stay consistent, and not ever risk being homeless. But the problem is at that point, I was still living in an apartment. I was having all this success, but yet I couldn't get out of that 2-bedroom apartment where I was stuck for 5 years. Yeah, 5 years. I was building my business, taking all these success, getting named one of the best by Facebook, getting interviewed in Money Inc., and getting all these accolades and success, but at literally just not taking myself to that next level. January 27th happens. I'm at a fork in the road, and I'm basically at a point where I'm like, I got to make a decision. And it's got to be done fast. And I'm laying on my bed, looking up at the ceiling. My wife's on the bed with me. We're not really talking. We're not saying anything. We're just being really quiet in our thinking mode. And I go on with the day. About midnight comes, and just like what happened with your dog today, my dog had to go pee late at night. And I've taken my dog out, and really weird because I live on a street that's very loud. I mean, right across the street, there's a 24-hour laundry. There's a school on this side, 24-hour McDonald's over here. There's just bums and people walking across the street all the time. But that night, everything was completely quiet. There wasn't a car driving by the road. There wasn't a person across the street in the laundromat. It was just silence. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, we need to get ourselves around that silence. Just about a couple of weeks before that, January 14th, I decided to take a 30-day social media cleanse. I say, you know what? I'm turning everything off for a month. I'm going quiet. You guys aren't going to hear from me. I'm not posting. I'm not doing anything. And then January 27th, I'm in a silent mode in the physical realm outside of the digital realm. And I'm walking my dog, and I hear this voice in the back of my head saying, put the dog away. Keep walking. Just keep walking. I'm like, it's weird. Why would I tell myself to put the dog away and keep walking? I'm like tripping out over here, right? And I'm just like, try to ignore it. And it keeps telling me, put the dog away and keep walking. We need to have a conversation. And I was like, whoa, what is going on? So I put the dog away, and I'm like, all right, let me tune into this. What is this going on? Put the dog away. My wife's sleeping already. The whole family's sleeping. I keep walking. I start walking across the street, walking down the sidewalk. And I'm like, okay, what is this? And starts talking to me like, Manny, you're on the path you know you're not supposed to be on. There's a better path for you. There's a bigger path for you. You need to go on this path. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What is going on? And so then I start asking questions. I'm like, what path am I supposed to be on? What is my purpose then? If I'm not supposed to be selling apps and going on stage all across the US and pitching my programs and making money and giving back to orphans by sponsoring events from time to time, I mean, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? And he goes, as clear as day, help the orphans. You have no fear. I was like, what are you talking about? Help the orphans. You have no fear. I don't get that. And I started thinking about all these times when I've had this chaos in my life, whether it's being taken from my family, being abused, neglected, beat, all these different things. And I've looked at everything after the fact. And I've been the one that has been the calmest in all those situations when, my sisters around me were crying and chaos was going around. I'm the one sitting there, no, it's going to be okay. Here's what we're going to do. I seem to have a solution very quickly is what I've noticed. And I didn't really understand that conversation until I went to sleep that night. And I have a dream. I have a dream where I'm seeing this huge mountain on fire, and everyone's running down this mountain. And their clothes are torn. They're screaming. It's complete chaos. But for some reason, I say, you know what? What's up there? I need to figure that. I need to fix this. What's going on? I run up this mountain. I'm not caring about the fire around me. I'm not caring about people running away from all this chaos. I'm trying to get up to there and figure out what's going on. And I get up to the top, and all I can think of is creatures of chaos, creatures of chaos. And I just demand that they leave. I tell them they have no power. And all of a sudden I wake up. It didn't really dawn on me again. I'm like, whoa, something that was weird. What was going on? I wake up my wife. I'm like, babe, something happened. You got to understand what happened. And I'm like, I had a conversation with God. And she's like, what? Tell me more. And to really kind of put this into perspective, I've never had an experience to where I've said that was God. I've always told her for years, God doesn't pay attention to me. He's too busy for me. If anything, he delegates it to a guardian angel or somebody in our past life or whatever. He doesn't have time for me. And I've always thought that. And she's always thought the opposite. She's like, no, we can connect. We can talk we can have that conversation. And I'm telling her, I had a conversation with God. It was God. It was really him. He was telling me what I need to do and how I need to do it. And I had this dream, and it means I have no fear. And if, there's creatures of chaos that are causing chaos, I can be the one that brings the simplicity and the solutions, and I can help. And I can do more. And she starts crying, and I'm like, why are you crying? This should be great. This is great news. And she's like, well, when you were on the bed yesterday, looking up at the ceiling, and, I know you were having some thoughts in your head. And so I was praying, and I was praying that God would reveal himself to you, and he would tell you what you need to do.
Wow.
And that changed everything for me. A month later, I get connected to Ty Lopez randomly, and I become his official teacher on apps. And now my business doesn't need referral partners. I have the referral partner promoting my business. I get the opportunity to have a radio show. I get offered a TV show. I get offered to be on stages I couldn't even dream of. I'm sharing the stage with Les Brown. I'm getting featured in all the, I mean, I getting interviewed on TBN to share my story and all these things because I decided to stop focusing on the money and start focusing on the impact and what I can actually do. Then I started this organization, From Orphan to CEO, where I can say, you know what? Let me look at what the big problem is in this world, what I can fix. And it kept coming to me, those 2 out of 3 kids, the 2 out of 3. There's 26,000 kids every single year that age out of the foster care system. 2 out of 3, that's over 14,000 of these kids are being homeless. They're ending up dead or they're ending up in jail. There's a solution that I can provide there. And what I've been doing for the past 7 years working with brands is helping them understand how to start a business, how to grow a business, how to build relationships, how to really be influential, to do something that you love to do, turn that into a business, build a skill and an opportunity around it. And now I was like, light bulb, I can take kids that are aging out of the foster care system. I can show them how to start their own business so they're not begging for a job for somebody. They can build their own dream. So I started documenting everything that I've learned over the last 7 years. And I've created this school of business. I've launched an event called ServeX, where I bring out the influencers and the kids, and I show them this is how it's done. And now I've got a show that I'm putting together called From Orphan to CEO, same concept. And literally as of right now, we are in talks with Netflix to get this show through their distribution, which has like been my overall like number one goal with this is like, let me get this show on Netflix. These kids, they aren't going to a TV channel once a week to watch this stuff. They're streaming everything. So I put my show on an app. I put the training that they all have through an app. I put, the goal of this is to all have this streaming on Netflix. I mean, this is where these kids are at. And now I even have a freaking a song that somebody made me, From Orphan to CEO. I mean, this thing is like, it's taking off just because I showed up. I decided to show up for opportunity instead of building somebody else's dream and just playing small. And as entrepreneurs, we got to stop playing small. You got to go after the big things. Listen to your gut feeling. Turn everything off. I mean, I'm on a 30-day cleanse of social media. I'm not posting. I'm not doing videos. I'm doing interviews like this. This is the only thing, right? This, on the phone with people and just mapping the opportunities that we need. And if we can, as entrepreneurs, understand the fact that there is a higher power that is directing what it is that we're doing in our lives, whether you think it's God, the universe, however you want to think about it, there is a direction that if you tie in and tune into this frequency, the opportunities that are going to come to you that you didn't even know existed are abundant. And I mean, I tried for 6 years doing it my way, doing it like, I know I'm the one that knows this. I got this, man. I'm the one reading the books. I'm doing the work. I'm getting the results. But yet I was still stuck in a 2-bedroom apartment talking about how great everything is, right? And yet I'm like, I can't get out of this moldy apartment. I'm stuck in here. And yet I had this conversation in January. By February, I'm working with Ty Lopez. By March, I've got a radio show. By August, I'm living in Lake Elsinore in that 2-story home. Success just is snowballing because I decided, stop listening to myself and start tuning into the real mentor. And it's been all the difference to me.
So for those of you who can't see this because you're listening to this podcast, I have to tell you, I've been watching Manny because I'm watching him on the video, and tears came to his eyes. And it was so beautiful. And the thing is, it was heartfelt. I saw the emotion come and it flooded through you and you allowed it to enter your heart. And I believe that part of your decision to do this and to help the orphans is because you were no longer working from your head. Your head was telling you it had to be this way, I had to function this way and do my business this specific way, and it wasn't connecting with your heart. And when you got the message from God and you let it go into your heart, the idea of creating this new venture came from your heart, and it was a heartfelt space. So I ask you, when the tears came to you, what were you feeling in your heart at that moment?
It's always a difficult conversation. The power that my wife can bring to my life and everything that I'm doing. And it's hard because she doesn't necessarily see it herself. how powerful she really is. And I don't know why, it's just every time I try to explain this story, it gets really difficult for me because it's so deep into what I'm doing and what I am. And I've always tried to, looking at some of the people I was surrounding myself, over just 2 years ago, they didn't want me to do that. They wanted me to focus on the technology and the mobile apps and lead generation. And I'm good at that kind of stuff. That's a skill, right? But that's not where my purpose was. It's not where I was waking up each day just living for that moment to feel that. It was, going through the motions a lot of, and this is why I could never grow. I could never get out of that space. It was just being stuck in, a cycle of the same thing over and over again, getting on the call, going through the pitch, closing the deal, making an offer, getting the proposals out. And, now it's how many kids can I help? In December, I started the actual program to fund all of this. And between just that and 7 months in, we can now start over 800 businesses with these kids that age out of the foster care system. It's fully funded. All I got to do is get the kid to say yes and show up. Our first ever student that had went through our program, I held an event March 31st. I said, let me do a live event, bring some of these kids out, show them what I'm going to do. So I brought these kids out, I put them up on stage, and in just 5 minutes, I go through a couple questions. I ask them, like, tell me about yourself. What do you do? One of these girls, she was like, I'm in high school and about to graduate, and I'm planning to go to college, and I want to do this stuff, and I want to be a fashion designer, and I want to start my own fashion line. And she had all these dreams. I'm like, well, how do you plan to do it? It's like, I don't know. I have no idea. It's just a dream. I'll probably end up working at some 9 to 5, making money like everybody else. And I'm like, what if you can turn that dream into reality? Right? What is it that you really want? Right? And she's like, I want to be a fashion designer. I want to start my own fashion line. I'm like, let's start one. Why not? She's like, wow. I was like, well, here's the thing. I created this school of business. Okay. All you need to do is watch these videos on an app. Okay. There's like 10 videos for you to watch. It's a total of 2.5 hours worth of content. I've condensed 7 years of what I've learned. I've spent over $300,000 on my own mindset education. It's not in a school, on textbooks, none of that stuff. I've never been in a college room unless I've spoken at one. Okay. It's all been through, coaches, mentorship, events that I can just be around people that are millionaires and billionaires and learn exactly what they have done to create what they have done. And so I've taken the 7 years of condensed knowledge, put it into 2.5 hours, and I call it the Manifestation School of Business. So you can learn everything you need to learn on how to start a business before even day one begins. So before you even start your business, you go through this program. I certify you as a graduate of this Manifestation School of Business, and then we fully fund you to start your business. We show them how to build a Shopify store, build an app, build anything that's going to automate their message so they can monetize that message. Let me show you what she's doing right now. Now, for people that are just tuning in audio-wise, I can't even do it. I'm on a social media cleanse. I forgot. I installed Instagram. I'm like, let me pull up my Instagram and pull up her. I'm like, oh, crap. I had installed Instagram for 30 days.
If you give me the link, I'll share it in the comments.
Lana Love Collection. LANALUV Collection. You'll see her profile. She's got over 3,000 followers as of right now. She barely started like the beginning of May. I think May 1st, somewhere around there that week, was her first ever post on her page where she had 0 followers. And as of today, she's over 3,000 followers. Before she even did the free trial, on Shopify, you get a 2-week free trial to start making sales and bringing traffic. She spent no money, right? I think it cost her a total of $40 to get her entire business launch. She had a store. She had products to sell without buying any inventory up front. We show her how to do what's called drop shipping. She had no idea what the word was, and how she can go to other people who've already built awesome products. They have no clue how to market them. I teach her how to market them. And she brings them into her store, and now she markets them. She's had over a dozen clients within her 2-week free trial. So before she even had to pay her $29 a month for her Shopify store, she already has a dozen clients, over $200 in sales, and she never had to buy any product up front. from
Wow.
somebody who's never even, I mean, she barely graduated high school. She hasn't even had any, experience in the real world of business, entrepreneurship, if anything like that. So to take a concept like that is really exciting to me, because now instead of her, applying to 15 different jobs to get an $8, a $10 an hour, she's making her own income, living her own life. And she can make a 9-to-5 job if she wants to. And now she's got a business that's making her income while she sleeps. And that's the power that we're giving to these kids.
That's incredible. All right, I just want to back up for a minute.
Sure.
You were talking about how you went from, we were talking about being heartfelt and making a decision, and how you left that one part of your business behind to transition into this new part. What is some advice you can give an entrepreneur who is also looking to do that? Now, before you answer that question,
Sure.
do you know who Kyle Cease is?
Kyle Cease. He sounds familiar, but I don't know him personally.
Okay, so he was a comedian who became a motivational speaker, and he helps people break through. His program is called Evolving Out Loud. I recently went to one of his events. It was wonderful. And he did exactly what you did. He was a comedian. He was becoming very famous. He was all over the place. And there was something spoke to him, and he had this calling, and he knew that that was no longer his purpose. And he quit doing comedy, and he started doing this motivational speaking and this taking people to a higher level of consciousness. He used comedy to do it. So he says he's kind of like a funny Wayne Dyer, but he said it was the scariest thing to go from leaving what he knew. Comedy is what he knew, and he was successful at it. And his friends and his family and everyone thought he was crazy. Like, what are you doing? You're going to be a huge celebrity. Why are you walking away from this? To go and do something that you can't even prove is going to work, and you could be an epic failure at it. And he still managed to be hugely successful. And that's exactly what you did. So what is some advice that you could give to someone who is in a career or in a venture and they're not happy with it? Like for me, I started out doing graphic design, web design. I was miserable, and I was really, really good at it. Like you, I had a skill. I was amazing at it. I transitioned into photography, which I loved, and I started photographing people in the way that I see them, as beautiful beings. But over time, I started to realize that it became a business. I was so focused in the mindset of, okay, closing more deals, getting more clients, making this a business, structure, that I started to lose the passion. And now, after years and years of doing this photography, I'm actually changing my entire business so that I can do more give back. And that is terrifying. So what is something that you could help people? What is one tool, tip, or advice that you can give for people who are going to make that transition from what they know to what they feel is they're passionate about, but they have fear about doing it?
Okay, so I can't give this in one piece of advice, but here's what I've learned from millionaires and billionaires that are doing this on a regular basis. You have to take your skill and put that into an opportunity to create a business. That business will fund your passion, okay? So here's an example. Now, your friend or the guy that went from comedian to motivational speaker, that's rare. That's not what I would recommend. I don't recommend, he didn't really love what he does, but he was really good at it. You could turn that part into a business that funds the opportunity. He turned the comedian, well, not really, because he's still doing stand-up comedy in a sense where he's speaking, he's able to still do what he's skilled at, and he's turned that into his opportunity to fund his passion. What most people do that fail, most businesses within 2 years, over 95% of them fail. Here's why. They go to, let's say, and I'll take an example of a story. This welder, he's really good at welding, right? He's skilled. He's been doing it since he was a kid. His dad was a welder, grandpa was a welder, and he's got the welding business taken over, and he's got the skills for it. This guy's been doing it for 30 plus years. He's making good money with his business. He goes and shows up to this business seminar, and the motivational speaker gets on the phone gets on the mic and goes, you got to follow your passion. Your passion is what's gonna make you happy and joy. And if you're not loving what you do, go follow your passion and turn that into a business. It's the first thing that you'd want to do. Because let's say his passion is, he loves cupcakes. The guy just, He could bake a cupcake like anyone's business, but he's never turned that into a business. He just makes them at home because it's his passion, right? He loves cupcakes. He makes them for his family, makes them for his friends, his neighbors. And then he gets to the point where he's like, man, I love cupcakes. That's my passion. I'm going to turn that into a business. So he goes and starts a bakery, right? Takes a welding job, throws that to the side, goes, starts a bakery, starts making cupcakes, right? But within a year, he fails because he doesn't understand the business of cupcakes, right? The distribution, the wholesale, the buying low, selling high, the marketing expenses, the whole business of that side of it. All the things he needs to do to make a cupcake business successful. What he should do is he focuses on automating and delegating a business opportunity that can become passive income, right? So if you are not happy at what you do, if you're at a 9-to-5 job, well, you can't build somebody else's dream. I mean, you could in a sense. I mean, 4 out of 5 millionaires are not business owners, right? But majority of them are in the real estate space. So it kind of offsets that. So you got to find something that you are skilled at, you can turn into an opportunity that brings you joy, right? Don't do something you don't love to do. There's so many things that you can be skilled at that you can turn into a business that has nothing to do with being boring, with being dumb, and it just makes money. And you can do a million things to make money. Find a business opportunity that people want. Okay, they're claiming it's not something. Well, here's not the thing. Not what they want. It's what they need. Okay, if you sell something what people want, you're always going to be a luxury item. If you sell something that people need, you are going to be a necessity in their lives. It's either going to buy it from you or they're going to buy it from somebody else. So find a necessity that you can turn into an opportunity that ties into a skill that you are good at. An example for myself, I did not stop selling what I was selling when I had that interaction with God. What I ended up doing is turning that skill into the opportunity that funded my passion. My passion is to work with orphans and turn kids that are former foster kids into business owners. That's a passion for me. So what I did is I said, you know what? Let's take this product that everyone keeps hiring me for, and that is going to be 100% how I fund my passion. Instead of me taking that as business income and just having that as income, that right now is going to be how I fund my work with orphans. So I'm skilled at it. I'm good at it. I can massively leverage that opportunity because everyone's going to me for that. But now that funds my real passion. And so now I'm excited about selling that product because I know where the money is really going now. It's not going to my pocket to just make me rich. It's going to go into an idea that helps me work with kids. And that's literally how I've been able to sponsor over 800 kids in 7 months through our program. Because I don't have to go asking for donations. I don't have to ask for hands out and learn the whole nonprofit space. I said, you know what, let me take a product that everyone's already coming to me for and monetize the heck out of that product, but it's going to be for this passion of mine instead of just being an opportunity to make money, right? So create that type of structure. And what I always tell business owners or entrepreneurs or soon-to-be entrepreneurs is build a socially conscious business model, like a Tom Shoes, right? I think of myself as kind of like the Tom Shoes of branding, right? If you come to me and you sign up for any of my services, whether you get an app through me, you get a consulting program, you have me do a Facebook campaign for you, you're going to be sponsoring orphans in my program. It doesn't matter. You could be coming at any level, but there's one program that sponsors 100%, everything else is at 50%. So I kind of build a really cool business model that is helping at the same time as it's being a benefit to what they're actually doing instead of just asking for donations. The nonprofit space can be really, really effective if they can learn this model. Exchange a service that doesn't cost you too much for what you're going to be raising in money. And people do this all day long, especially if you're working with the entrepreneur community.
Wow. That is so powerful. Okay. So part of the journey and part of this podcast that we're doing is to help people overcome their fears, their doubts, their worries. And I had an eye-opening weekend about overcoming my own fears and doubts. And one of the things that came to me, and it was like a message from God as well, was ask. So the ask. I feel like so many of us don't ask.
Big time.
Manny, I'm going to ask you something.
Okay.
And it's not a question about you. It's a question about me.
Oh, okay.
What you've done is so beautiful. And I want to ask you if you can help me take my photography business and make it more profitable so I can fund more photo shoots for people who need it. And part of this ask is now for you. I would like to help by offering services to photograph your orphans so they can brand themselves beautifully online.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Let's do
I'm
it.
all about collaboration.
Yes.
That's the key for me. So I would be honored. I mean, your work is pretty amazing. I was on your website all day today looking at all your before and afters. I'm like, damn, this woman has got some skills.
Thank you.
Like, there's very little people out there that can wow me in their space. And I've yet to find a photographer that does portraits like you do.
Thank you. I photograph from my heart. I'm a seer, so I see the beauty that people hold. And that's why I feel like lately it's been a business. I've been so structured and get the money and do the sale and no. And it's not what I love anymore.
Automate that.
Exactly. So I would love your help.
Let me show you what I did with my son. So here's an example. This is kind of like how the idea came to me of exactly how I could help the orphans. So my son Isaac comes to me, the one that you met. He comes to me at 9 years old and he goes, Daddy, I want an app. And I was like, why? What do you need an app for? You're 9 years old. Relax. Like, you just hang out and go play some video games. He's like, well, I've been showing all the kids at school your app and they think you're like so cool and you're like hanging out with all these really cool people. And, I was thinking if I had my own app, I could be really cool and da-da-da. And I was like, I'm not going to make you an app for you to be cool. No, come up with a real business. I only build apps for business owners to promote their business. So come to me with a business idea, then we'll have a conversation, right? I'm thinking I'm just shooing him away, right? He comes back like an hour later, and he's got 3 different business ideas all mapped out of how he wants to put them into an app. And I'm like, dude, he's come up with some pretty cool ideas. One of them really didn't make sense. He wanted to go do birthday parties where he's drawing kids. He loved art. He loves art, but he really at that time was superly into art, drawing on everything from walls to anything you can think of. And one of the ideas, he's like, I want to go to birthday parties and draw kids as superheroes and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but that's going to limit you to like weekends. And I've always got to hang out with you on the weekends at somebody else's birthday party. It's just not going to be fun. And we got to think of something that anybody in the world can get access to and all do it through an app where they don't have to use your time. Because the last thing you're going to want to do is going to be sitting there making sales calls and all these different things to promote and prospect for your business. Just because you have a business doesn't mean people are going to find it. You got to get people to know about you. You got to tell them your benefits. You got to go through the sales process. You got to generate leads, right? And so we come across this concept where one of his 3, he goes, well, let's use this one where, I can draw, people can just, take a picture with the app and then I'll draw the picture they want me to draw and we can like mail it to them and they never have to talk to me or do anything. And I'm like, that could work. So we built him out an app that automated every step of his sales process all the way up to here's the thing, by the time they get to him, before he gets, notified that somebody wants to do business with him, they have submitted an online questionnaire. They have uploaded the content they want him to draw, whether it's a selfie or a picture of something. They have decided how they want him to draw it, whether it's going to be a 3D canvas, printed on a T-shirt, put it in some type of format. And they have submitted payment for his drawing. So literally by the time it gets to him, he just starts drawing. That's it.
That is incredible. So oh my gosh. Can I have him create an app for me?
If I can do this for a 9-year-old, I can do this for any business. Yeah. You just automate the entire process of the stuff you don't want to do. He's not going to be on sales calls, going through a questionnaire, figure out what's your address. I'm going to mail this to. Give me your credit card information. How do you want to put the deposit? No, he's 9 years old. I
love it.
So we automated the entire process. And I'm like, dude, we can do that for all these kids we're working with.
Yeah.
They'll have something they want to do, whether it's drawing or, creating music or, fashion or whatever it is. We could just automate the entire process. So like my student now that has gone through my program, all she does is look for cool products to sell, adds them to her website. Once they even go onto the website, they can purchase it. They get it delivered. It's all done automated. Nobody has to do anything. She just like, I like that.
It's so perfect.
Cool.
It's so easy. You make it so easy.
And that's the idea, is that business doesn't have to be complicated. It can be automated. That's the thing I think businesses need to understand, is that they want to take every step of the process. There's usually like a 10-step process to creating a customer. when really you only need the last 2 steps or so to really do it and automate the other 8. I mean, there's no point in you doing the redundant task of the lead generation and prospecting and closing the deal when all of that could be automated,
Yep.
right? You need to have your message operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with a process that says, here's how to do business with me. Here's an introductory offer of how to do business with me. And then book them for the appointment. It's not hard.
I've actually heard quite a few influencers say that automation is the key to their business. Well, let's get automated. I love this.
We have 2 billion people online right now. There's 7 billion coming to 8 billion people. There's going to be another 3 billion coming online in the next 5 years. I mean, you got to understand that the world is a lot bigger than your small circle in your coffee shop, right? Yeah. So you got to understand that you got to expand. And if you can expand by, I use the BRASP formula. It's my own little formula I created. It's an acronym, stands for Blueprint, Relationships, Automation, Serving, and Content. Right? I literally give my clients the step-by-steps on each of these formats. And this is how I create my success online. The blueprint, the funny thing is, if I told 100 people for free, didn't charge them anything, I told 100 people exactly how I do it, what I use to do it, and how they can do it themselves, 3 out of 100 will take action. Yep. Will do something, right? The other 97 will say, that's some good information.
That's why
I'm going to hire Manny when I'm going to do this. They're not going to take any action. You just create prospects.
That's why you shouldn't be afraid of competition. Because chances are no one's going to do it anyways.
Think about this, okay? If you did the exact same thing I did, there's no way we would be competitors, because you're going to gravitate and people are going to be gravitated to you based on your own energy, your frequency. I mean, there's a lot of things that go with it. Your branding, the way you wear your hair, the colors you wear,
the way you speak,
your colors of your
eyes, eye twitch,
whether or not you have eyebrows. Yeah, if you have a little twitch, I mean, all these different things will either make or break the deal. It makes no sense to be like, oh, you're my competitor. Like, collaborate. Why? I mean, you just see the things I hear from people that are like, I can't share the blueprint. They're going to go and do it without me. I'm like, no one even knows what you can do. Why would they hire you? You want $5,000 as a coach, and nobody knows what you're going to coach them on.
Yes.
You're going to teach people for free what they're going to learn. Then they'll pay you $50,000 to learn because they're not going to do it. They know you know how to do it. Now they just say, hey, well, you do all this.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for saying that, because it's so true. People feel so much fear for competition, but really they're just competing with themselves. It's an internal thing that they're projecting. So let's not have fear. So if you're listening and you're afraid of doing something, or you're worried about the competition, just do it. Get it done.
Competition is yourself. You're competing with the person in the mirror every day. Whether or not you take action on the ideas that you come across, or you learn from the mentors that are telling you what to do, or you're learning from people that have never done it before and you think that's accurate, you are competing with yourself. You have all the information at our fingertips. Every answer is a Google search away, and it depends on who you're learning from. I mean, I hear this from Greg Reed. You met him at the City Summit. He says, you are in 5 years, the books you read and the people you surround yourself with. If you're not surrounding yourself with the right people that are getting massive results, and the easiest way to look at it is whatever your income level you want to be at. If you want to be a 7-figure earner, then you need to surround yourself with nothing but your top 5 people being at least a 7-figure above. Because it's not the fact that you're just going to automatically have 7 figures in 5 years, is that you're going to be learning what they do, how they do it, the strategies and habits that they are forming to maintain that level of success. And it's just going to be like, peas of a pod. You're going to go and you're going to start showing up on time. You're going to start waking up early. You're going to start putting in the extra hours. You're going to start delegating. You're going to start automating. You're going to see the skills that they're going to teach you just by being in the association. This is what I've been doing. I surround myself with millionaires and billionaires. If there's not a room that I am not the dumbest person in that room, I don't want to be in it.
Thank you.
I don't like to be the smartest person in the room. It's like wasting my time.
Yes.
I'm just sitting there teaching all day, which is great. I can do that, but I do that through automation, right? I can teach the world. You know what's funny? I have my coaching strategies reaching over 180 different countries, and I don't even have a passport.
That's classic.
There's people traveling all around the world, wasting all their time and efforts and energy when all this could be automated through digital. You just gotta learn the skills, guys. It's not difficult.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Manny. All right, our time's about up, but I have one last question for you.
Sure.
What is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you?
This is my very embarrassing moment. I was kicked out of the Navy.
Really?
And yes, here's how it happened. So my girlfriend at the time, back in, in the Navy, it's snail mail. You don't get cell phones. You don't have, the ability to go back and forth on Messenger, nothing like that. Nothing is instant. It's super slow, right? It's a snail mail. I got to write a letter, mail it to her. It gets there in a week. She writes a letter, mails it back to me. It's 2 weeks minimal for us to have a conversation. And so one letter I get was her saying, I just went to the doctors and I got diagnosed with anemia. And I was like, what is anemia? There's no Google here. What is this? And they're like telling her she could die. And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. What is going on? And I go tell my chief, and she's like, well, that's fine. Yeah, she was like disregarding everything. So there was no worry about it. And I graduate the Navy, and my dad flies in and he brings my cell phone. And I'm like, I have a cell phone. I can call her. I can talk, because she couldn't fly in. She didn't have the money to be able to fly all the way across. And we're kids at the time. So I'm calling her up on the cell phone, and we're talking, having a great time. And I graduate Friday. I'm supposed to leave to my A school on Tuesday. But see, here's the thing. I'm not allowed to have a cell phone. Okay. It's a band on the base. The only people allowed to have cell phones are the chiefs, petty officers, and the workers in the base. And so I thought I'm going to be the little rebel and get my cell phone. I'll hide it. I'm only going to be here a couple of days. I'm leaving on Tuesday. No big deal. So I hide my phone. Tuesday comes and they go, Manny, your A school got pushed back. You're here another 3 weeks. And I was like, crap. So I got to hide my phone. So I cut a hole in my mattress.
Oh, God.
And I hid my phone in there, right? And so I'm doing my thing, and I leave for the day. We have this thing called leave. I can go out to the city, and it's like Chicago area where we're at. And I come back, and I've got 2 MPs waiting for me. These are military police, right? They're all decked out. They got guns and everything. And I'm like, oh, crap, what did I do? And they're like, Lopez. And I was like, that's me. He's like, give us your phone. I was like, I ain't got no phone. What you talking about? I totally denied it, right? And they're like, we know you have your phone. Give us your phone. Last chance. I was like, I ain't got no phone. You're tripping. I'm like, y'all ain't never going to find it. It's in the mattress. How you going to know it's in the mattress? You can take off in the mattress. You have to find a little tiny hole slit and everything, right? They go to my bunk area. They destroyed everything. They ripped out all the stuff. They put it on the floor. They ripped off everything. And then after everything's on the floor, they go pick up the mattress and go right to where it was and take out the phone. I'm like, you knew it was right there, and you destroyed all my stuff. Oh, I was so mad, right? And then they arrested me.
Oh, dang.
And yeah, they arrested me. They put me on suicide watch. It was crazy. They took away my shoelaces.
Oh, my God.
And they put me on this big spotlight in this room while everyone else had dark. I'm like, what is going on, right? And because I was so livid, I wouldn't talk to nobody. I was like, Mama said, got nothing nice to say. Don't say nothing at all, right? So I'm like, I'm not talking. And they gave me this sheet of paper and said, write out your statement. And I'm like, I ain't gonna say nothing, but I'm gonna write something. Oh man, I'm mad, right? And I'm like, this is so stupid. Stupid captain. He's all mad because his brother can't be an admiral, and he's trying to become an admiral. And That was like, oh man, I was just letting it all out. So I'm basically arrested, and I'm in this detention center, almost like a prison in a sense. And I get to this thing called Captain's Mass. And there's 12 other guys that have had cell phones. They all got caught with cell phones. Same exact thing, right? So he goes to each of them, and he's like, 45 days restriction, 45 days extra duty, half pay times 2. Same thing. Everyone up, gets to me. I'm at the end. And he goes, Mr. Lopez, just the one I wanted to see. And he grabs a piece of paper, and he's got the letter that I wrote. And it's got him all up in this letter. And I'm like, crap, I forgot I'm going to be in front of the captain, in front of Captain's Mass. Duh. So he's like, all right, so I got this letter that you wrote me. And he reads it off in front of the entire base of petty officers and chiefs. And I'm like, oh my God, right?
Oh,
He goes,
God.
all right, so that's how you feel about me and my Navy, huh? All right. Well, here's the thing, and I've never said this before. I don't think I've said this on the thing, but this is what he says. He goes, Manny, or he goes, Mr. Lopez, 45 days restriction, 45 days extra duty, half pay times 2, and get the fuck out of my Navy. And I was like, oh, snaps. And this MP gets right behind me and goes, you try anything, and I'm going to drop you. I was like, why is everybody so angry? I was like, you guys are really taking this out of like, wow. And I just felt relieved. I was like, finally, I don't like this place. It wasn't fun. I asked too many questions. I'm the type of person that was like, why are we doing it that way? Why are we doing it like that? Why, they did not like me. I ended up having like an 8-pack. I was like so ripped because I had this thing called PT, physical training, which was outside of our already scheduled physical training that we would have, because I would always be asking dumb questions. So they're like, Manny, go do 500 push-ups. Yeah, it was bad. But the thing is, that was my most embarrassing moment. I came home and everybody in my family was like, I told you so. And I knew you were worthless and I knew you couldn't do it and da, 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 da. But one thing changed everything. It was my uncle. And he was the only person that told me anything positive out of this entire situation, because I felt like crap. I was so embarrassed. I was just like, how could I fail at something like the military? I mean, who gets kicked out of the military? That's like, oh my God, you'd have to be really an idiot. And luckily, it was just under the 6-month mark. I was literally just within days of being a dishonorable discharge. Oh. I just got right under it. And they're like, this is a general but honorable condition. So I got nothing bad on my record. It's squeaky clean. But they kicked me out. And then my uncle tells me, and he's passed on. He died in 2008, right when I started kind of taking off in my sales career and stuff. But he told me when I was kind of feeling all down and blue and talking to him about it, and he goes, Manny, everything happens for a reason. You weren't meant for the Navy. You were meant for something bigger. I mean, literally changed my thinking. And I'm like, bigger? What are you talking about? I just got kicked out of the Navy. What's bigger than the U.S. military, right? You got kicked out and I'm a reject. They don't even want me. I'm like banned. They don't want me at all. What could possibly be better? He's like, dude, just meant for something better. Just think about it.
And you found that.
And
you found that better.
Yeah. And within a very short amount of time, I'm going after my dreams. I'm becoming #1 salesman at the places I'm at. I have confidence in my own ability. And I don't think if I would have had that conversation, I would have had really much confidence in life until somebody came to me and told me, Manny, you were meant for something better. You were meant for something bigger. You were not meant to live that dream. Everything happens for a reason. And that kind of ties in that too blessed to be stressed mentality. You tie those two things together, you're too blessed to be stressed and everything happens for a reason. You will never complain about the chaos of life, because you are going to go through some chaos. I'm smiling right now, but dude, there's chaos all around me in every which way. But I know I am too blessed to be stressed. Everything is happening for a reason. Everything that I'm learning, everything that I'm going through, every chaos or blessing that I have is happening because it's supposed to happen. And once I can just kind of take back instead of living in the moment and live for the moment, you're going to see kind of the change in your shift, and you're going to be smiling a lot more. It's
Manny,
fun.
Thank you so much for having this conversation. You are unbelievable. You're so inspirational. I am so excited to work with you on changing my business to help yours, your organization. And I feel blessed. I feel too blessed right now. And I am not stressed.
Too blessed to be stressed.
So how can my listeners find you?
The best way is my app. So I'm an app developer. It's kind of my first and foremost outside of Facebook consulting. And everything that I bring as value is put inside of this Learn with Manny app. It's completely free. You can get access to my network of influence, which is my Rolodex of superstar experts. You get access to promoting your business for free. I mean, you could just upload a flyer, share your website, post a business card, and then everything that I offer as value, my training, how to connect with me, getting on a call with me, following me on my social media. All my official channels are there. You're just not going to see me posting for about another 3 more weeks, but you can follow a lot of the cool stuff that I've already put out there. I've got hundreds of videos on each Facebook and YouTube. I mean, there's all kinds of fun stuff, but Learn with Manny.
I'll share it. I'll share a link to that app. That's fabulous.
Cool.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. I love you so much. And I love that you spoke from your heart. And hopefully we can have another interview in the future and see how things are moving along with you.
Always.
Yay.
Let's keep doing it. Let's schedule them like every 6 months. Get some updates. See how many kids we're helping.
Thank you, Manny.
I'll bring some of the kids on the show as well.
That would be so much fun. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. I can't wait until the next podcast adventure, and have a beautiful life. Have no fear. Go ahead and do those things that you've been afraid of. And I look forward to the next one with Life in Focus with Sandy Grigsby.
To hire Sandy and her team to create portraits that will make your brand shine, visit brio5.com. For more on self-esteem and confidence building, head over to sandyandfocus.com. Sandy and Focus is produced by Sandy Grigsby and Brio5 LLC. All rights reserved.